comedy like Amtrak. So I can set one train going 90 miles an hour north and one train going 70 miles an hour south, and we'll test everybody. See if we can figure out when that thing is going to crash.
When will they collide? Yeah. Well, it's Amtrak, so probably the answer would be sooner than later.
Yeah, true. And for a very, very pretty penny for the cost of the ticket as well.
Yes.
I think you can fly to Boston cheaper.
Well, with that, welcome to What Am Comedy.
Welcome and thanks for joining us. This is a special episode for us. It's been about a year, so we wanted to take things a little bit behind the scenes, have a look at the show, the people involved. I thought I would drag Mike out from behind the camera and put him on the spot over here, see if we can't embarrass him a little bit.
Although I do have to say, statistically, I have hosted half of the episodes of this show.
That's true.
I think.
Yeah.
Maybe. Close.
Yeah. So, we should embarrass somebody else later. We'll do that.
Yes. Okay.
But thanks for joining us tonight, guys. And we're going to sit and talk a little bit with our producer, director, and general, do everything, Mike, and talk a little bit about what it's like filming, what it's like, working with comics, this and that. We're also going to do a little segment where we try to finally answer the question, what am comedy? We'll see how successful we are. So Mike, just to kind of fill everybody in on the backstory, it's been a long run for us. Talk about when we met, how we got started.
So you and I, Matt and I met in high school. I don't think it was several years later at one of our friends' baby shower thing, because it's a long story as to why two grown men are going to a baby shower. Though, a lot of people gave me crap about that when I told them.
He didn't live in this country at the time.
Yeah, so he was in town. We should go see him.
Yeah.
And while Matt and I were talking at the party, I didn't tell you at that point that this was an idea, but like I was just sitting there because I was taking the course here at the studio. I think, and I was like, they have a show about musicians, highlighting local musicians. They have a show about a whole bunch of stuff about art, all of this other. Why not? Oh, they also have a local theater thing too. So I was like, why not comics? Like, there's tons of comics out there that could use to get their name out a little bit, or talked about, or have some fun. And I found comedy fascinating, so I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. Definitely, and it's been a lot of fun. So let's talk about the initial setup for the show, how we, how we sort of decided on the format that we did, and this and that, how we really got going.
Yeah, I think when we sat down for our first meeting, I said that I definitely wanted to keep the show casual, and I wanted to keep it less of an interview, you're going on to plug your stuff show, although we ended up having to add the social media plugging sections.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. But it was more just I wanted to say, hey guys, let's get exposure by you guys talking about your craft and what you love most about it, and how you go about doing it. And I think that's important, because then people understand that it's not just people getting up and standing in front of a mic and talking, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot more difficult than that.
A lot of self-loathing and failure too. And we've come a long way since we first shot the pilot. We're shooting in a studio now. And a lot of things have changed. Let's talk a little bit about the pilot episode, getting things started, and how things have, the transition we've gone through since then.
Well, when we first, Aaron, who is directing tonight, is usually my technical director. When we first went to tape our pilot, we were going to try out your basement. I do remember that. But you were having some less than favorable stability that day, and we had issues with the lights, so we scrapped that. Aaron's like, why don't you just do it at my house? My husband's got all this gear and all this stuff. He knows what he's talking about. He does that. He's made movies before. I'm like, okay, we'll do it. And we scheduled it a couple weeks later. I got that backdrop and I set it up and everything like that. We were squished together. It was my second project for the channel, and I didn't know that doing multicam was as big of a deal as it turned out to be in the end. especially because we didn't use a clapper. A clapper helps you sync the audio and the visual if you're using multiple cameras or multiple angles, or you're taping the audio separate from the video.
So it does more than turn on the lights? They did not put that in the commercial.
No, they should.
Yeah.
It would sell a lot more. But it was a challenge to do, but I am really glad we did it, and I'm glad we added that second camera, because it added I don't know, the Pilot has, to this day, I still like the way the Pilot looks. I had to color grade so that the cameras match, because they're two completely different cameras. I had to color grade to match the look and colors of both of them, and I think it turned out really well. I found that hilarious song that I just put in underneath everything, and it was magic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for what we were working with, it actually came out really great.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And that touches on something else I wanted to bring up. You know, just some of the different technical aspects. I mean, you're talking about color grading. To me, you're speaking Chinese. I mean, so you're blending what, two different pictures that are, you know, the different qualities and kind of meeting in the middle.
Color grading, it's not so much that. Color grading is just a fancy term for like color correction.
Okay.
So like when you have the two cameras and you've got the two files, they kind of like line up on a track like this, and you cut between the two. If you want to do it that way, there's other ways to do it, but that's how I did it in Pilot, because I didn't know what I was doing.
So you could make me look more tan?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Not well. Everything else around you, everything else around you would be more tan as well.
Right,
so,
right.
I think you'd be better off whitening your teeth.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, excellent. So I mean, yeah. So you know, you've I think really got a talent for this and really got a knack for this. Tell me a little bit about how you've developed and what you've learned about filming the show. You know, any aspect of it, really. You know, if you want to talk about, you know, about the more technical aspects, or even just what it's like to try and coordinate everything and get everybody together.
I'm going to stay away from the technical aspects, because I think most people will find it boring. I really do. Yeah. Because unless you're like really into it, it's a snooze fest. Yeah. What I can say is that logistics are a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting people together, especially comics, can be very challenging. Getting everybody on the same page is challenging. I have been extremely lucky in that I have a crew that is constantly with me. I've had, we'll meet most everyone who's been a part of it. I think only a couple people are missing today because we had a weird schedule. But yeah, that makes it so much easier, because I don't have to be concerned every time I get in here as to like, how am I gonna do this this time with this amount of people. It's just been consistent, and I absolutely adore that. But logistically, like, you know, you always have like snafus with trying to get certain guests put in. You know, certain people come and aren't let in, or something like that, or or they're canceled last minute, or they have to cancel last minute. We have to cancel last minute. It's like there's a whole bunch of weird time stuff. So logistically, it's not.
Yeah, definitely. That is one thing about working with comics that can be particularly difficult. I don't know that I've ever produced a show where everything has gone according to plan.
No.
To the point where you plan on things not going according to plan. You know, and if I'm doing a show at a club, I have 6 comics on the show. I have another comic that's going to do a shorter set that could step up if somebody can't make it. This and that, which I think is a lot different from a lot of different things one might be doing. And people are. I don't want to say that comics are unreliable. Because to say that people are more reliable, it maybe makes comics sound a little bad, but it is a very fast-paced industry in that somebody can be available to come on and do an interview or to do a quick guest spot, and then may find that they got a better opportunity in New York that night or wherever else. And I can't blame anybody for if I'm doing a small show at a bar, I can't blame anybody for wanting to perform at a big comedy club, things like that. So that's definitely a nightmare. That answers part of what I wanted to ask you is why the heck did you want to work with comics?
It fascinates me. Yeah. That's why I love it. Like Robin Williams and Mitch Hedberg are like 2 of my all-time favorites. Obviously, like George Carlin is another huge one for me. But I just always wondered, because all 3 of them are so uniquely different, yet they produce the same emotion. Like
Yeah.
they make you feel happy and
Yeah.
you laugh. Even if like George Carlin's subject matter kind of makes you go like maybe 20 minutes later like, oh, the world's gonna burn.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? But like in the meantime, you're following along and you're having a good time and you're laughing. And it's like, how can you turn subject matter like that into something funny? Or how could you have such different styles and all have them play for reasonably large crowds of people?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I just wanted to understand the honing of that craft.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's something that I think for a lot of people that are outside of the world of comedy, you know, it is a little bit mysterious. I mean, what would you say has changed for you about your understanding of comedy? What have you learned along the way?
My understanding of comedy, I actually started to learn and understand that bombing is good.
Yeah.
Like that is something huge that I never could have grasped before, because generally in any other field, like failure is not a good outcome.
And it still doesn't feel good.
It still doesn't feel
comedy,
good.
But
It definitely helps you make your set better.
it does.
Yeah,
It
so-
absolutely does. And in a way, it can make you more confident on stage too. I mean, you go out, you try a new joke, maybe it doesn't work, maybe it doesn't become part of your set, but when you're out there doing something that you know does well, you're that much more confident about it. You know, so it kind of has you know, two sides to it in that regard.
Yeah.
Definitely. And now you've done a little comedy yourself, haven't you?
Once.
Once, yeah. What was that experience like, and would you do it again?
I would.
Yeah.
I would do it again. I want to work on my material, kind of make it a little more relevant now, fix some of the little hang-ups I had with certain crowd reactions. I think could have been more tuned, different. Like it literally, that's the funny thing too. I notice is you can make the same joke, but the words you choose to make the joke are very important.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I always find that very interesting. So there's a couple things that I would like to do there. It was scary.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Knowing, not to mention, it was very scary because the room was pretty much entirely other comedians at that point because it was the last person
And
on.
that is the worst audience that you will ever have. If you want to talk about some judgmental people, a room full of comics is bad.
They are very judgmental, and if they're not being judgmental, they're just standing off in the back of the room, not caring. Because, so.
Yeah, it's a little tougher when you have a room full of people that know comedy and know what they're doing, and you're going out there trying to make something better, and they see all your flaws. It's you know, in a way, you know, it's like performing for yourself at times. You know, now, the same things that you're thinking about after the fact. I should have done this differently. I should have. You got 5 people that come up and tell you, no, you should have done that differently. Thanks, I know.
But I gotta say, what was encouraging though is when I got off the stage, several of them had come over and were like, "Was that really your first time up there?" I was like, "Yeah, it was my first time doing anything like this." They're like, "That was pretty good for your first time. It was not bad. You
Yeah.
had a little work to do, but I think you got some ideas." I was like, "It's really cool to hear."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And I think particularly here in Connecticut, we've got a great group of local comedians. And it's a very supportive network. As much as you know, we can all be tough on each other at different times. It is a really nice group of people to to get to know and to work with and do comedy with. Yeah. So I'm kind of jumping off that a little bit, and I think anybody that's ever heard themselves on an answering machine knows what it's like to hear your voice. What's it like to see yourself on TV?
Honestly, like it's really cool the first few times. When you're editing the show, though, like I really don't watch myself ever.
It can be painful sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I see enough of it in post-production. I really do, and I watch the final thing, the final cut, like several times before I get it over here to post it. Even then, sometimes mistakes are made and I have to revise it. But like, the cool part, in all honesty, after a while, is just to see your name in that scroll at the end.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think when all is said and done, as much as you might pick apart different mistakes that you'd made, or you're always going to see your flaws.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, when it's all put together, it's something you can be proud of, and something you can be happy to be a part of. You know.
Yeah. I put a lot of work into this show. I strive to make like things the best that they can be. With whatever equipment or tools I'm given, I always want to try and I want to have fun with this show, but I also want it to be presented professionally.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I want it to feel like there was a lot of care and effort put behind it. and so that's what I do.
Exactly.
I spend a lot of time, like when I'm editing, I put little blurbs, we call them lower thirds, just to make fun of you or your guest or whoever throughout the entire episode. Like I'll just randomly just chime in with my own joke or something. I tend to try and check with somebody else to make sure it's funny before I put it out there. But it's yeah, or I just put your name out there and give you stupid titles like trying to be funny or like like comic with a question mark at the end.
Right. Yeah. No, and that is the kind of thing. It's got to be a lot of fun to edit and to work on.
I'm not a huge fan of editing. It is fun to sit there when you're watching the footage like the first time through, and because when I direct, I hardly get to hear what you guys are saying out here.
I can see
because
that.
I'm so focused on getting the camera angle properly. I mean, I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm not really hearing it.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening, I know the words that are coming out of your mouth. I can tell you like, oh, the pitch in his voice just changed, so we should probably change camera angles because that's we're gonna. I don't know. He's gonna express something big in a second. You know what I mean? Like you can tell, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's very, very much like a lot of things. I don't think most people listen to other. I can tell you as a comic, I've only heard about half of what you said.
Yeah.
Oh no, that. So another kind of a different topic to jump into, but I wanted to talk about. I think that the world of comedy that most people know are bigger name comedians, and guys that that you've seen on TV or at a big comedy club. What's it like specifically working with and talking to local comedians?
Local comedians, it gives me, man, so many of you, like, I ask for all of your reels to come in, right? And I'm like, okay, let me take a look at how this performance is so I can chop up a small bit to put into the beginning or the end or middle of the episode, wherever it fits. And I've just been blown away by almost actually all of you. There's been a couple of people who were exceptionally, like, just phenomenally talented. Yeah. But it just kind of makes me feel like, we go out, well, not really anymore because we all have Netflix, but I was going to say, we go out to the movies, and it's like, no, Netflix and chill's a thing. Yeah. We go out, we have dinner, we'll go to theater, do all that other stuff, but I don't really feel like a big draw to go out for a lot of people is to go see comedy. And it's funny because I feel like that's the one big thing that's out there right now that you really can't. You can get comedy on Netflix, right? Like they have the specials, they're all bigger, but you can't like go and see these small. It's like going out to a small concert, like a small band before they're signed. You're going out and you're seeing these artists. I'm sure 90% of them suck, but like the most part, they're pretty talented and they're very good. And I think it's worth a shot to get out there and support them and watch. Definitely.
I think that, on the one hand, that's probably, what a lot of people, like you said, there's a lot of people that just suck. And I think that is probably what would sort of deter some people from doing something like going to an open mic. That's not something that a lot of people, just as audience members, would say, hey, you know what, I want to go and see unformed jokes done by people that aren't getting paid to do it. That doesn't necessarily seem like something that a lot of people would sign up for. For me, honestly, those can be sometimes my favorite performances. I've seen these comics do these sets so many different times. When I see them doing a show and it's a bit I've heard a million times before and they've got it perfectly packaged, I lose interest a little bit. As I see these things grow and get created, it's a very, very different experience, and it's great to see comics advance. I think that's my favorite thing about local comedians is seeing them go from here to here to here, not just in terms of a bit or a joke, but their overall confidence and overall talent.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to go to see the person themselves, like, to grow, that's noble. But I mean, like, I would assume most people would be satisfied in just going and seeing just a joke evolve over time, like how it got better and got to where it is. Like, like you get to like I listen to strategic grill locations constantly. Like, how do I still find all of Mitch Hedberg's jokes funny, even though they're the same joke? It's because he worked them out.
Yeah.
You know, like he's got it down to that science of this is how this joke will get a laugh out of you.
Yeah.
And I still, even if I'm not, you know, like completely ball out laughing, I'm still going like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting because comedy can, the second time around, lose a little bit of the initial zeal in a way that maybe music doesn't so much. To compare the two. But yeah, when you watch somebody really develop a joke like that and really nail it, it's a great thing to see, especially for the first time. You know, think about some of the comics we've had on the show, and watching their sets develop, watching them get better has been a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, it teaches you something about your own set, and it just in general enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That's fantastic.
So what do you think? You want to bother the rest of the crew?
Oh, I don't know. Have we spent enough time sitting in the chair?
I rely on you to tell me these things.
Well, you know, I'm looking right at the director right now, waiting for a thumbs up if it's okay.
Oh, we're getting it? Okay.
All right, fine. I think it's good enough.
Yeah, I guess that's enough of a, yeah, sure, go
Yeah.
for it. I don't know. What do I care?
right.
I'm not getting paid.
Yeah. So Mark, you got a camera?
Oh, yeah.
This should work.
All righty, let's get out of here.
All right, let's do it. Oh, you don't see her at all. All right, so let's sneak into the control room here and see if we can't figure out how all this stuff works. So we got a lot of fancy bells and whistles. You were working the cameras today.
Yes.
So what's it like being behind the camera instead of in front of one?
Well, I think it's a pretty interesting perspective, really, that way, because, you know, you're the one responsible for what the viewers are really going to see, and you know, and it's interesting because, you know, basically, I need to be quiet, perfectly quiet, and I'm just observing and panning and watching and just recording the action. But it's a very interesting, you know, function to do. And you know, I enjoy it every time.
Yeah, excellent. What's it like doing all the real work and getting none of the credit?
I'm used to that, so you know, I'm in marketing.
Excellent.
So
There you go. Okay.
I give you plenty of credit.
Oh, and now you've been our director for this episode. You're normally our technical director. How the heck do you guys make it look so nice?
It's a lot of buttons to press. And
I like the green ones the best myself.
well, that is the live ones. These are the
Ooh.
previews.
Ooh.
And you see everything up here. So basically, my job is to make sure when one of you are scratching at your face, the camera's not on you.
Oh, so you actually cut away when I'm picking my nose?
I do.
That's good to know. I
Yes.
could have been doing that the whole time.
And you're very, like, all touchy up here.
It's funny, actually, because like I know about this, and so when I'm sitting there, I wait and I'm looking here for when I'm not on camera anymore, and it's a just you shot for me to go.
Oh, that's fun. Now, we just interviewed you. We don't have
Yeah,
to
no,
do
no,
this.
fine.
No. So our audio engineer, you are the one that goes deaf every time I do a mic check?
Mic checks, coughs, loud laughing, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much all that.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Now, does it really take all of this to get that recording? What the heck is all of this here?
You'd be surprised. Most of it there is to make it sound good, to make it loud, and to make sure that nothing cuts out because of, you know, loud sounds, anything in the background,
Okay,
editing
excellent.
out that stuff.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. And we have someone over here been holding my wires. How has it been to hold some wires?
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, really enjoying it.
Excellent, excellent. You're doing a great job of it, as we can see, doing a very good job. But no, in all seriousness, you were doing camera work before. Did you just get started with the program here? How do you like it so far?
Yeah, I am new to the program, doing it this summer for my capstone project for my school. But it's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's a good experience and it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And hang on, let me not tangle myself. Let's interview our final cameraman. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Here, hold that. All right. Sorry.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
And so you were holding a camera. You got a camera on your head. It comes built into the hat. Way fancier than mine. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd you get that crazy thing?
Amazon.
Of course.
But, yeah.
Like everything else these days.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
everything, all this is still pretty new to me, but I'm getting the gist of it. It's good. I like to, I'm still hopping around doing different jobs like camera and audio and things, but it's enjoyable. Yeah.
definitely. What's been your favorite role so far?
I think doing camera's been good. Although I did like when I did TD once, not on this show, but on another one to practice, so that was good.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. I heard him saying that you have to be quiet with the camera things. I can't do that job at all. No, I'm not capable of being quiet for more than 8 seconds at a time. Yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult. I must say you guys do a great job. So I think we've embarrassed everybody. Can we focus in on anybody a little more, or is everybody really just tired of being on camera?
We're good.
Excellent, guys. Thanks for letting us poke into your world a little bit and bother you. What are we doing here?
I don't know how we got back here.
Magic of filmmaking, I guess. He knows all about that. I have no idea. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us again. It's been a lot of fun, as always. We're going to wrap up our behind-the-scenes episode. Hope you've learned a little bit more about us, a little bit more about the show. And I think that'll do it for me. You can play me out, Johnny.
Play him out, Johnny. Johnny?
Do we have a Johnny?
Johnny.
We got to get a Johnny for next week.
Okay, we'll get
Yeah,
Johnny.
we'll get a Johnny.
All right. Cool. Bye.
So you're gonna say, just go up.
Yeah, I mean, someone's gonna. I'm gonna be talking about front having nothing right entrance in the back.
They always do this. They do the weather and they never plug them in, and it always drives me crazy.